In this video I'm going to be showing you how to paint the Iron Warriors Legion for the Horus Heresy, and so you can follow along. This is an easy to follow step-by-step guide explaining all the steps and techniques, so you'll have the confidence and knowledge to get your own Iron Warriors fully painted. And if you stick around until the end, I'll be showing you how we can weather armour, paint those hazard stripes, and we'll see if painting over a black base is better for metals. Welcome to TableTopReady, my name's Michael, and I want to show you that painting Heresy Iron Warriors doesn't have to be difficult, and once you know how, you'll have some miniatures you can be really proud of. All of the paints and brushes I use throughout this tutorial will be shown on the screen as I use them, and they'll also be listed in the description along with any hobby equipment I think you'll find useful, with affiliate links to where you can buy them. As well, if you enjoy my content here on TableTopReady, then let me know by clicking that like button, and why not leave me a comment. I love reading them and hearing about your own hobby. And before we get started, we'll have to get our miniatures ready for painting, which I've made a dedicated video about on the channel. For this video I'll be painting our Iron Warriors using sub-assemblies, which is going to make painting much easier than if we had fully assembled them. I've also chosen to undercoat my Iron Warriors with lead belcher, but know that you can use whatever undercoat you want, the steps are still the same. The best place to start with our Iron Warriors is with their armour, and finishing that before painting any of the details. So the first thing we're going to paint is our armour using Iron Hand steel, and for best results when painting we always want to thin our paint, and I find an equal amount of water does the trick. And I would also remove any excess paint on some paper towel first, so we don't have an overloaded brush when painting. And when we're ready, we want to keep our brush moving and avoid going over areas we've already painted to prevent creating any unwanted texture whilst the paint is still drying. And when you're done, because we thinned our paint, it won't have covered very well, so let's repeat the process and paint another layer. This also means we can build up to a solid colour without losing any details in our miniatures. Once you're happy you've built up to a strong solid colour, let's paint the trim and any other details you want to be gold with liberated gold. And even though we want to try and be as neat as we can whilst painting, we're going to make mistakes and things can get messy. But that's okay, we can spend time neatening things up and fixing any mistakes as we go along. This will go a long way to improve the look of our miniatures once we're done. When using and painting with metallic paints, we use them in exactly the same way as any other paint. This means we still need to thin them down and build up our colour using multiple thin layers for best results. With the main armour and trim painted, we want to create definition, making things look less flat and to bring out our details. Let's first use some Nuln oil on our armour, and when using a shade we want to apply enough to cover areas comfortably to prevent creating any unwanted texture whilst the paint is still drying. If you do see this happening, then we can just use our brush to remove any excess we don't want. And when the shade is dried, you'll see how it's helped to bring out our details. The next shade we want to use is Seraphim Sapphire for our trim and gold details, following the same steps as we did for our Nuln oil. Now we're done with our shades, I think we can make things look a bit more greasy and oily, creating a wash. To create our wash, let's mix an equal amount of Agrax Earth shade and Lamy medium. This is going to weaken the strength of the shade so it doesn't overpower what we've done. When this is dried, you'll see how it's helped to give us a more oily, grimy look to our armour. Using shades and washes are a great way to create definition and interest across our miniatures, but we do need to remember that they can get messy and they will affect any colour we use them over. The last step in finishing our armour is to highlight it, and we can actually take advantage of both dry brushing and line highlights. Let's start with our dry brush using Stormhouse Silver, and when we're ready we want to work our paint into the bristles first before removing as much as we can on some paper towel. And when you're ready, let's move our brush rapidly across our miniature where we want our highlights, so the paint is only deposited on raised areas and details. Make sure to take your time with this step and build up your highlights slowly until you're happy with how they look. Something you'll notice as well is that with this method you're not going to catch every edge, so for those we missed we can use our Stormhouse Silver again and paint some line highlights. This involves painting thin lines along edges where we want our highlights so we can see them better, and again just take your time doing this. With our definition created and highlights painted, our details are easier to see and we can move on to painting the other details on our Iron Warriors. Even with our oily, grimy metal armour, there are a couple more things we can do to make them look even more like Iron Warriors. The next thing we want to work on is painting any panels and areas of the armour black, and for this we can start with a bad and black. And with black being so dark, we need to rely on our highlights to bring out details. The first highlight we can do is a chunky highlight using Dark Reaper, and this wants to be quite a thick line so we can still see it after we've done our edge highlights after this. The next highlight is an edge highlight using Dawnstone, and this is the same highlights we did for our armour. If you need help with your highlighting, then I do have a dedicated video on the channel showing you all the things that's helped me to get better, so go check it out. Now I know that highlighting isn't for everyone, but if we want to get better at miniature painting, then learning how to do this can really help with our brush control and hand-eye coordination, and it's really going to help improve the look of our miniatures as well. It's now time to paint those hazard stripes, so let me show you how easy this can be. Let's start with the yellow first, mixing an equal amount of Avalon Sunset and Flash Gitch Yellow, making sure as always to build up to a solid colour. Now we want to decide where our stripes are going to be with some lines using a bad and black. And we can now thicken these lines up, and we want to try and get equal thickness for both the black and yellow lines. Remember, we can go back in and tidy our lines up using our yellow mix if you need to. And we can make things look more interesting painting little chips in the black stripes with our yellow base colour as well. When you're happy with how everything's looking, let's deepen that yellow, applying Iandin yellow over the area including over the black stripes. This helps create a more even tone, and we can repaint our black stripes easily enough now we know where they are. Highlight any edges with Flash Gitch Yellow to finish. The last thing I want to show you is how to weather our armour, but also I want to see if painting metallics over black really makes a difference. Every time I paint metallics in a tutorial, I'm told that I should have used a black undercoat first, but I'm not convinced that it's actually necessary, so let's see if it really does make a difference. But just remember that it really doesn't matter either way, and you should just paint your miniatures however you want. It's your hobby and I'm just curious. So here we've got an Iron Warrior undercoated with lead belcher and another Iron Warrior undercoated with black. I'm using Iron Hand Steel again and following the same steps of thinning our paint and building up to a solid colour with multiple thin layers. So here are the two Iron Warriors that I've painted with the Iron Hand Steel, one with the black undercoat and one with the lead belcher undercoat. And the idea for this was to see if there was any difference or any benefit to having the black undercoat, and looking at both of these I can honestly say there is no sort of benefit from the black undercoat over a different undercoat. If anything, for me, the Iron Hand Steel has come out better over the lead belcher undercoat because it's slightly more vibrant and brighter, whereas obviously over the black undercoat it is darker. I'm not sure what the idea is behind doing a black undercoat or doing metal over black. I don't know what the benefits would be, and I've never understood why people always said to do it over black. The only thing I can really think of is that you can get away with less layers, I suppose, but again, if you're doing lead belcher, it doesn't matter. If it makes a difference for you, then obviously you carry on. But for me, I just wanted to check. I was very open-minded, and I kind of expected maybe that there would be, but I'm not surprised that there isn't. Paint however you want. This is just something that I've always wanted to do, just to see if it does make a difference. Now that I've seen that it really does make a difference, I can carry on more confidently and just carry on painting how I like to paint. We can now move on and look at how to weather and finish our Iron Warriors armour. The first thing we can do is paint little scuffs and scratches using our Stormhost Silver, building this up slowly until you're happy with how it looks. The other thing we can do is make the areas around the lower legs more grimy and oily using Agrax Earthshade. And the last thing we can do to weather our armour is to use Doomball Brown and paint this into some of the recesses and around rivets to give the impression of rust. Then the last thing to do for our Iron Warrior is to paint any lenses, starting with Mephiston Red. After that, apply some Norn oil and let this dry. We then want to paint a thin line of Fire Dragon Bright along the bottom edge of our lenses. Finally, paint a dot of white scar in the top rear corner of each lens to finish. Iron Warriors are such an iconic legion both in the Horus Heresy and on the tabletop, so it was important for me to do them justice and do them in a very achievable way, so that anyone can end up with a force of Iron Warriors they can be really proud of. The last thing I want to do is to say a massive thank you to all the amazing people who've made this tutorial possible with their continued support. It really means a lot. It allows me to get all the paints, brushes and miniatures I need to make these tutorials so I can continue to help you get better at painting. And I especially want to thank Jan Klautzer, Matteo and Mr. Butt, who have recently become supporters to the channel. Thank you so much. And if you feel like you get value and enjoy the content here on TableTopReady and want to help support the channel as well, you can become a channel member or join my Patreon, which gives you access to our Discord, regular updates, and you'll even get to watch videos and tutorials early. We've now finished painting our Iron Warrior, and I hope I've been able to give you the confidence and knowledge to paint your own Iron Warriors. I've got plenty of other tutorials on the channel, including how to paint some of the other legions in the Horus Heresy, so make sure to go check those out as well. I really do enjoy making these tutorials and I hope you find them useful. If you do, then please leave a like and let me know in the comments below. As well, make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future content, and I'll see you in the next video.